Bet you didn't know your girl read sci-fi. Anyways, I'm here to talk about Binti, my main girl, my main woman. I am not a sci-fi reader. However, I am obsessed with space. Not obsessed, but intrigued and curious about space and the galaxy. And I like stories that are set in zero gravity surroundings. I picked it up because I knew, first of all, black woman. Second of all, adventure in space. Third of all, look how tiny this little baby is. Little baby. It's a little novella. It's a great way to get introduced to a new author. So now I know that Nnedi Okorafor, if they have any like full novels, which I'm pretty sure they do, Akata Witch, which I am gonna pick up. But those are kind of the main reasons I picked it up, and I am so glad that I did. So if you're not familiar with the story, Binti is about a young woman who leaves her home planet to go to University, study classes to become a student basically, and she sneaks out in the middle of the night. Her family doesn't know anything about it. They want her to stay home so that she can help her father with the family business and basically the village, because she is a harmonizer, which means she has really good mathematical technology skills. So bear with me because I am not a science or techie person, so that's why sci-fi is kind of hard for me to really like imagine and wrap my head around. So I gotta watch shows and movies so that I can come to books and like kind of put visuals to the words. But I'm gonna try my best. So bear with me. So basically, she goes onto this ship, which is not a metal spaceship, you guys. No. The ship is actually a living organism. It's like a fish, like a huge fish whale that can breathe in outer space, basically, and has like living organisms and has different chambers inside of it where people live. Anyway, it's awesome. It's amazing. She leaves her families to go to university, but the journey is not a successful one, or she doesn't get there unscathed. While traveling there, the Medus, which is an alien species, attacks the ship and kills basically everybody on the ship except Binti, and we kind of go through finding out why they killed everybody, why they didn't kill her, all the good stuff, and the whole story takes place on the spaceship. It's really good. I highly suggest checking it out if you're into quick-paced space books. There's like underlying themes of racism as well as classism and sexism, and it has a really good commentary on familial relations and ties, and like the battle between going after what you want and like what your dreams, and staying true to who you are and who you've been, and your family stuff. So I highly suggest checking it out, and not only checking it out but continuing on with the series, which is why I'm here to talk about. So get out of here if you don't want any spoilers. Okay, so this trilogy was actually really good, starting from the first book called Binti. My favorite thing about this series is that there is no filler. There is no filler information. Everything happens when it needs to happen. There's a lot of time jumps, so we get to the action and the heart and the core of the story, which I love. I really appreciate, and so it already makes me want to pick up more novellas and to explore that, because first of all, Okorafor's writing is so vivid and to the point and filled with great phrases and euphemisms and metaphors. I listened to the audiobooks of these, and it makes me want to go back and reread them so that I can really take in those words that I missed, because Binti has like a lot of good commentary on the social aspects of what's going on. So the fact that Binti's Himba, and then they're in a war, not in a war, but they like dote on the paler people in their village whose names I cannot recall. I can't really remember the pronunciation that well, so I'm gonna try. But the Kosh, so Binti's Himba, which is like, and the Kosh or the Krosh, pale people, white people, and they kind of have the dynamic that they have in our real world, where the Kosh are the more superior tribe and the Himba are looked down upon. So Binti going to University, she will be the first Himba person to attend there, which is a great accomplishment on her part. And she's also a harmonizer, which was awesome to me. I really couldn't wrap my hand around it, but finding out that she's a harmonizer and she does it through like technology and mathematics and whatnot, and that she's able to talk to everybody of all different races and species, like she's really she is that woman. Binti, like, she doing the damn thing. Get down to it right away. The bloody scene where the Medus comes and kills everybody, first of all, that was really good. I think that it was hard for Okorafor to get us to actually care for the characters. Well, I didn't care about anybody on the ship already because like they were only alive for maybe 5 pages. But I think they did their best at showing us Binti's despair and does a really good job at extending that trauma to the second books, Home and The Night Masquerade. So I think that just like the gore and the straightaway action really reeled me in. And the fact that Binti like had like a little crush on one of the people she watched him die, like that was a moment that he was able to go back to and really pull a lot of emotion from. So I thought like that the book had really good like linear comprehension, and it didn't make me forget about points that in other stories I might have let slip. You could tell she didn't forget where she started. The fact that the whole book takes place on the ship and only ends after she agrees, like they basically put something in her, but she says that she will talk to the people and help de-escalate all of what happened. I thought that it was really well paced and enjoyable. Binti's relationship with Oku is kind of fascinating to me in this first book, especially since they're enemies. It's an enemies to friend trope, which I don't really see often. I always like see enemies to lovers or just plain enemies. But I really like this enemies to friend trope that they have going on, especially since the understanding that is shared between them happens gradually, and it's through experience and bond comes to trust each other, and seeing how stubborn each of them are, it's just an enjoyable experience. And listening to Binti talk about all the situation, the social constructs, and the social economic situation going on in the story, it's just kind of inspiring. So it made me pick up the second book, which I don't own physically, or the third book, but I listened to audiobooks. Second book, Binti finally gets to go home. I was honestly really excited for this book because I wanted to see the relationship, the dynamic, the reason Binti had to sneak out in the middle of the night. And the ending of the first book was beautiful. When she gets to Umla University, they embrace her because she convinces them that the Medus aren't in the wrong. That Umla University, with all the different species, I was fascinated. I want to see this book come to life. That would be my answer to a question. What book would you want to see turn into a movie or to a TV show, the adaptation you want? I want Binti. It's so immersive, and I honestly don't think like the technology and the humans we have right now could actually make the world that Okorafor has imagined. And that's a grand statement, okay? Oh yeah, so at the end of Binti, she says that she reaches out to her family members and that her mother is the first one to reach back out to her. So I always held that with me really strong because in the third book, I think her relationship with her mother is just so wonderful. Like her mom really saved the day. And if you've read the third book, you already know that. But in Home, her relationship with her sisters is wow. I can see why she felt trapped. She has all like these grand expectations placed on her, and she still chose herself, which I applaud her for, especially since she knows like this is her only one chance. But her sisters being just big bullies, that's what I want to say, they're just huge bullies. I can understand first her wanting to leave, and second why she has to do it in the dead of night, and third why she was afraid to tell her family that she even got into the university. I couldn't imagine. I just spent 2 minutes trying to find these people's names. I also love that we meet the desert people in Home. They're dark-skinned people, so they're outcasts, of course. So Binti goes home because she wants to participate in a traditional rite that is practiced throughout the Himba culture, but she plans to return back to Umza University. But she gets there and she is surprised to find, well, not surprised, but she's happy that her parents are happy that she's back. And so that was a really good moment for me. But she takes Oku along with her because they cannot be apart. It's not that they can't be apart, but they choose not to be, which I think is really cute, especially since they started off with really bad terms. But the most fascinating part of the story is definitely the desert people, who are seen as outcasts, even by the Himba people, who are also black. But Binti is basically scooped up, and we find out that the chief, or the head person, the head of the Zenaria tribe, is Binti's grandmother, her dad's mom. And that the weird twitching motions that they're always talking about is actually a secret language. I was like, see, people think that because things are different, they're not beautiful. Literally, it's ignorance. Yeah, this story has really good commentary, just saying. But learning about that culture and seeing and meeting another harmonizer, I think it's Moini. And him becoming an eventual love interest in the third book, I really enjoyed it. But I think that combining part 1 and part 2 of Binti would be considered a better way to go about it, because the cliffhanger that it ends on is to die for. In the third book, The Night Masquerade, which is supposed to be a spirit that shows up only to men that recognize or symbolizes a season of change or a time for change, things get very heated. Especially since the cliffhanger that ends at home, which is her family being in trouble after Binti learns to communicate the same way through the desert people, through the Zenaria language. She learns that her home is under attack by the Kush people because there is a war happening between the Kush people and the Medus. It's happening over her village, and her family goes into hiding, and unfortunately the root cellar that they're burrowing in is burned to the ground, and Binti has to make the trek from being in the middle of nowhere with the Zenaria people to going back home to the village in hopes that she can find Oku because she believes her family to be dead. The war scene, you guys, the action, it was really, really good. I believe that this one out of the three had the most emotion and the most growth happening between the characters, seeing as Binti literally dies. You guys, when she died, I was like, what? And there was still half of the story left? I said, she finna pop off. No, but the speech that she made to them so that the war would cease, that it would end, it was beautiful and it worked. But like the thought process behind it, that when elephants fight, the grass is the only one that gets hurt, I was like, hold up. Now she's speaking. The fact that like they had called a truce and everything was going down, everything was like settling. She had just come to terms with her parents and her whole family being dead after leaving on such terrible terms. She literally spat on her sister. I think that after that truce, and then they started to attack, and Binti was still left in the center, one girl died. That was insane. Okorafor has a gift for literally making my jaw drop. And these books were, I don't even know how long the second and third book are, but the first one's less than 100 pages easily. So I was just in shock. And Winnie and Oku, the way they work together and get along so well, because Winnie is also a harmonizer, I just really enjoyed that. Like I loved how they were both really close to Binti without it becoming a problem. Like that's how you can tell their affection for her was actually genuine. So like that's just a cherry on top. But them like getting to her and protecting her body during this war, and then afterwards saying that they want to take her to, I think it's Saturn. Jupiter? I think they want to take her to a planet because she belongs in space, because she doesn't believe that she is just purely Himba anymore, because she's not. She's Himba, she's Zenarian, and she's Medus. So it's crazy to see that. I was like, okay, these people really care for her. And so that was beautiful to see. But what was even better was when Winnie, who can literally see through his feet, found her entire family under the root cellar. The root, which gives life. Then her mother had found a way to protect them and keep them alive long enough for Winnie or somebody to come along and figure out that they were still alive down there, which I was like, and Binti did not know that because she was dead before they were saved. It was just really good. Like the anticipation, I wanted to finish the story. Like I read these back to back to back. I have not done that in a long time. I don't know, reading it brought me joy. Like I was really heavily immersed into the story, into this world, and like with these characters. And I looked, but I couldn't find the name of her friend from at home. But I thought that the dynamic between them was also really interesting. The fact that he turned out to be the Night Masquerade the second time, and he was actually part of the secret society, and that's why he like had to go that back and forth with Binti. I was like, okay. I think my favorite part about this book is the culture and the loyalty that lies within it, and how genuine Binti was, and how for others she was. The way that people just were drawn to her, even though she was seen as an outcast, like she did everything knowing the precautions and the consequences behind it. I mean, that just makes her so much cooler. The okuzi, I think it's called, that they spread all over themselves. I need to get out of this country, okay? I want to go back to the motherland, please. I want to be covered in that beautiful herb dust situation. I don't know, I just want to be immersed in this culture so badly. So I just applaud Nnedi Okorafor for doing that. No, but the ending was what really did it. Like they sent Big Fish back to her, which is the vessel that she took when she left her planet to go to Umza University for the first time, where the big dramatic Medus attack happened. So that fish was pregnant. So in the third book, they send Little Fish, who has just been born, but she's huge, literally like a spaceship of a fish, and she sends her, and they put Binti into her, the same room that she would have been in on her journey to the university. It's the same room. Like, you know, I hope that makes sense. they put her in there and they just leave her, and Binti comes back to life. Like, little fish has healing abilities, and although, because Binti was blown up literally, she's more alien race, alien species, I mean more little fish than she is human when she wakes up. I still think that the way they save her is just icing on top of the cake. And like, they can't be apart from each other, and Moini stays with them on the university. Like, it's all really cute. Like, it comes together well, and it doesn't leave me begging for more. I know whenever I want to step back into this world, I could just reread these books, and I think I would enjoy it, if not more, just as much. So that's really it. I feel like I really didn't do a good job going like into depth, like a literary analysis of why this shit was amazing. Like, everything I just said, like, that was just raw emotion, because these are just my thoughts and my feelings on how good this book was. So yes, if you're looking for a quick, short read, if you want to dive into sci-fi, science fiction, anything like that, anything with aliens, you just need to immerse yourself, something completely different from our world, Binti. It's a great story about identity, acceptance, war, and, you know, following your destiny and who you are and who you choose to be. So I loved it. I hope all of you loved it. Thanks for staying for the spoilers, and I'll see you in another video. Bye, beauties.